turns out that when you look online to find some hints and tips about how to deliver a speech to public, in the top 10 hints and tips, it doesn't mention anything about leaving the stage, facing the other way and putting a box on your face, but that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So bear with me while I use this incredibly sensitive equipment and cross my fingers. Right, so this starts with me at 8 years old. This is a picture of me when I was 8. This is a costume that I made for myself out of cardboard and paper. This wasn't for a fancy dress party or for a competition or anything. It was Saturday. You can see here that there's some little details there. If I step back a little bit, you can see that there's writing on there. There's an elaborate story to go with this character. And I was very thankful for my parents borrowing printer paper from the office for me to do that. Now, around this time, I was drawing every day, piles and piles of drawings every day when I got back from school. This is an alligator death machine. You can see here that he's a biomechanical monster covered in guns. You wouldn't have thought, but apparently a throat gun is really good when you're trying to destroy spaceships with fire. And this BG written on the side is actually my first attempt at a logo for the building gang, which is what I called my gang of friends, because I thought I had a gang of friends. There we go, there's another one. This is a robot lobster, I suppose. And again, little guns everywhere. I honestly really did believe that one day I was going to be building these things and traveling through space. A couple more of these just because I find them very entertaining. This one is an eagle rider. It is a good Zybor. You can see from my extensive notes here that the good Zybors were from Earth, and he is the eagle rider. One of the many talents of the eagle riders is precariously balancing car seats on the backs of giant birds of prey. Now, to add to the story, these are the enemies, Zybors. Zybors, these are the Zodiacs. Now, the Zodiacs are from the planet Zimba, according to this. He's a zoom-back rider, and as it says above, it's an evil Zodiac, and I think you'll agree, nothing more evil looking than this. So, I'm now going to teleport along here. Now, I had, and I still have, an overactive imagination. It's often a blessing, but can also work against me. Around this time when I was drawing these things, I was also suffering from night terrors, sleep paralysis, and I had epic lucid dreams. This is still a memory of mine. I remember having a nightmare. I woke up with sleep paralysis in the night at around 8 or 9 years old with this monster floating above my head. So you can see why I might, at an early age, have not fully trusted reality and came to terms with the fact that dreams and waking life can become interchangeable. Luckily, I'm not haunted by those things anymore. So if we fast forward to now, after 20 years, after 20 years of digital illustration and graphic design and brand design and web design, I've now found something that I've become quite obsessed with. I don't know if anyone could possibly guess where I might be going with that. It could be something to do with this. So, although virtual reality crops up in sci-fi, and has done actually since the 1930s, believe it or not, it wasn't until the 80s that we saw the first attempts at consumer VR hardware. And I'm just going to pause. We can just take that in. This is an advert from a real product in the 80s for virtual reality. You might remember virtual reality in the 80s. You probably don't. It didn't do very well. It wasn't very good. It made everybody sick. I'm just going to move those out of the way because they're quite disturbing. But you know, you could be forgiven for thinking that silver spandex is what got me into this. But in fact, it was the art programs. Let's face it, they look ridiculous. Excuse me, I'm just trying to... There. Now, a couple of years ago, a local arts organisation asked me if I would look after their HTC Vive VR headset for them. Well, being the hero that I am, I said I would take it home and look after it for them. That night, me and my friends spent hours looking after it for them, thoroughly researching VR computer games. So soon I had bought my own VR equipment. I justified that expenditure by saying I would make money out of it somehow. Having built up a supportive network of friends and customers locally, I actually managed to do that. I was in a good place to do that, and I'm happy to say that I do now consider myself a VR artist, practitioner, and researcher, and I do love it very much, and I take it very seriously. Creating in this spatial medium feels perfectly intuitive to me. It's natural. If I give you an example, with the responsiveness and flexibility of traditional mediums like paint and clay, you can create three-dimensional objects in the space in front of you. But you also have the power of digital mediums. You have the best of both worlds in that sense. Sorry, it's quite tough trying to do all of this at the same time. There we go. So for instance, we've got things like this. So we can create other shapes. There, the best of both worlds. That's where that was going. Get rid of those. So large gestural movements become idiosyncratic, three-dimensional calligraphy. And you can zoom in and out at any given time to stand on the tentacle you've just drawn, to look and do smaller details, shrink back down, assess what you've done. So you can change your perspective in an instant. So instead of sketching in 2D and then redoing it in 3D on a 2D screen, you can sketch in 3D, so you can prototype your ideas very quickly. You're fully immersed in the artwork as you sketch, and you're sharing a private space with your creations as they grow. As these worlds grow around you, you begin to feel immersed in them. And just as when you're dreaming, your mind is fooled by that light show. And why wouldn't your mind be fooled by that light show? Now, if you think about it, we have a handful of senses. These senses interpret input from the environment around us, and they send electrical signals to your brain. They can come from your ears, your eyes, your tentacles. And so the universe is in fact far more complex than we could possibly ever imagine. So our brain has evolved to stave off bewilderment, to allow us to navigate our way through life. Essentially, we already live in a hologram. If the life we experience daily is merely curated by a narrative penned by our brain, then it isn't too fantastical to claim that immersive technology has the potential to massively affect a person's interpretation of their whole reality. And with these creative tools, children and adults alike can take creative power into their own hands rather than wait for others to deliver it to them. So I am a tiny fish in an infinite pond, but I'm already working with people from all walks of life with this. I teach spatial design to engineers and product designers, and I volunteer for the Bright Futures charity, where I'll be bringing VR art programs to hospitals around London. If you think it sounds fascinating being able to create and enjoy immersive environments like this, then imagine what it's like when you can't leave a hospital or indeed a bed. So this is just the very beginning, of course. These tools are brand new, but there are actually thousands of incredible artists out there already using them to tell amazing stories. And if you're a daydreamer too, then why not come join me in this new playground? Thank you.